really established that symbiotic relationship, or connected through that umbilical cord to make sure that there is no gap between ourselves and the families. So whatever that we do, before we talk to you, families are on board. So we've got to appeal to all of you also to respect this space. It's only time that will make people heal. And we've got to give them time for people to heal. So we want to appeal to you also as media, as you generate your stories and report, assist us. Assist us. Assist those families to heal. Let's not exacerbate the problem. Let's not complicate the problem. So we're working on that, and probably, Minister, I can ask Dr. Matiwane just to briefly talk on what has been detected or what has been discovered at this point in time in the samples that have been taken for these kids. So we're quite happy that families have really welcomed this, of course, with emotions, but they've appreciated what government is doing, and we are indeed together, and we're embracing each other. We've got to face this together up until we get to its logical conclusion. So today was about that day. Thank you very much, Minister. I know you are not sleeping on the way or sleeping on the job on this one. You are always following it through step by step. From the police side, whilst they are doing their investigation, the other part is done more by health. These laboratories are more actually managed through the Department of Health, hence you see. And we don't want just to take anyone else to speak about this. The cause of death is a very sensitive issue. There are a couple of questions that families were raising. At this point in time, the death certificate says under investigation. There's no death called under investigation. So there must be something that talks to that. So all those kind of issues, we are making it a point that they are all cleared, but they can only be all cleared when we are able to put a finger on that particular issue that has been. Dr. Matiwane is going to speak to anomalies that have been actually detected, which are still being worked around to make sure that we are perfectly or absolutely conclusive on exactly what has happened. Because some of these issues, people could coexist with them depending on quantities or qualities in their blood system. Dr. Matiwane, if you may just briefly talk on to those 3-4 elements. You want Dr. Matiwane here, isn't it? Nzwagi, you wanted to push this away. Okay, I want the Daiman one to remain here. It must not go there.
Thank you, Premier, Minister, MECs, Mayor, and protocol observed. Good afternoon, colleagues. As the Premier said, we did say in the funeral that there were 21 bodies that were collected on the day, which is the 26th, and postmortems were done on that day. We then also took toxicology samples that were sent to the toxicology lab in Cape Town, where it was mainly blood and gastric content toxicology samples. We have now received the initial blood results from the lab, and those blood results, the first 3 findings are for blood alcohol levels, carbon monoxide levels, and preliminary qualitative methanol level results. So what we was found is that for blood alcohol levels, the levels ranged from 0.05 grams to 0.26 grams per 100 milliliters, which in itself is not conclusive of lethal toxicology. So at this point in time, we can then say that that might not have been the final cause of death. Then the second layer of results that came through was that of carbon monoxide, which also was ranging from 3.3 to 21% saturation of hemoglobin. Now, under normal circumstances, you expect toxicology or lethal levels to be above 50%. So again, the understanding is that this might not yet be the final cause of what we are looking at as the cause of lethal toxicology. The last part that we were looking at this point in time, the results that have come through, is that of methanol. Now, methanol has been detected in all the 21 individuals that was there. However, there is still a progressive analysis of the levels of methanol. So we just have the qualitative result that says all 21 of them had methanol in their blood, but we still need to get the quantitative levels, which will then tell us whether these were at lethal or non-lethal levels as well. So in summary, what we have is that we have now moved from a point where we had said, yes, we did exclude the stampede, but now we do have initial results from the toxicology lab. However, at this point in time, there is no conclusive result that says this was the lethal concoction that we are dealing with. I will stand down on that, Premier. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You can push it to the Minister. We're trying to do this thing so that you don't ask any questions. You won't have any questions. So that the Minister can round up this part and go sit at home. Sorry.
Thanks, Premier. Thanks to Deputy Minister, MCs, the Mayor, and everybody, the clan of news givers. Good afternoon. We committed and we instructed to work with the families and the community as we were at the funeral. So we're trying to work on that one. To say one other thing is to now and again to help them to understand from the authority and official point of view, especially from the side of the medical technocrats, so that it's not misinterpreted by ourselves what really happened and what really is happening. So families, we spoke to them, still a lot of pain with the families, but I think also they'll appreciate that we're taking everybody on board. We did commit that we'll come back to this community and find out what can we do so that we don't experience the same encounter of what has happened where we lose so many young lives. So it's another wing. The other wing of investigation, somebody or some people have been arrested and they'll appear in court again on the 19th of August to go and explain themselves those laws that they broke after the case has been opened by the Liquor Board and the authorities from that side of life. The police are here, created a special investigation team from the both provincial and head office, since we take the matter very, very serious. And we hope that you will find out as the case continues what really happened on that particular day from the side of breaking the law. Investigations are continuing. We're not ruling out any form of finding other people that will be able to answer and give accountability of what happened on that particular day. But from the side of the Premier and the the medical practitioner has given the report, there where we'll end. But for now, we are working together with the family, with the community. We will be coming together again with the community and the families to find out what can we do. Some people had called, and correctly so, that there will have to be some improvement of the alternative of life for young people, and given more opportunities, we'll be working on that as a community. And the three levels of government, as you can see, that we remain so national, provincial, and local government. We want to work together and work with the family together until we find the final solution, so that never again we come back to speak about such a tragedy where so many young lives are lost in a way that it has happened. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Ndos. Over to you, Ms. Lange.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Premier, and Dr. McLean. Colleagues, there's a report. I will now hand over to you. If you have any questions, I'll take just 5 questions, and I will request that you introduce yourself when you are on the podium. I've noted you, Johnny, and you said I've got 4 hands up. There's the 5th. Thank you so much, colleagues. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Premier. Ray Hartle, I'm a freelance journalist. The big question, though, is what is the process going forward? What happens in the laboratory? What tests still need to be conducted? Who is conducting those tests? What is the time frame for that process? I mean, these are scientific processes which can be calculated. So what is the position with that?
Thank you, Johnny.
Johnny Isaac, I'm also a freelancer. My question is directed to you, Dr. Mkiwane. Can you explain a bit how does methanol get into people's bodies?
Thank you so much.
Silver from BCOT. I just want to know to the Minister, does this case of 21 children that died in Smith Park link to other tavern killings that happened after those deaths?
Okay. No, I think they've covered.
Lindo Mutekulu from ENCA. Firstly, I'd like, I'm not sure if it was said before, the doctor to just give us a full name, surname, and the designation in that regard. And yes, my question is as well is on the methanol. I just want to understand where could this particular substance be coming from and how would it be dispersed so that it can be discovered in all of the 21 deceased. And then can I also ask the question to the police in terms of the arrests that have been made? We understand those people are on bail at this stage, but just to get a sense, I think I heard the Premier say that they were arrested after the Liquor Board had opened a case. So I just want to understand if the police are also investigating their own case that they've opened, or is it just that case? Because we saw that after the Liquor Board had opened a case, it was arrested, and therefore it leaves questions of saying, is murder being investigated? Because the Liquor Board would be opening cases about their own processes and not necessarily murder. And finally, in terms of the help for families, we did catch up with some of the families. We've been trying to keep in contact with them about what they know in regard to what has been updated today, but there is also a clear sense that they are struggling. What help is being offered to them? Psychosocial help, are they being helped and all of that? Because some of them are even saying that they've spent quite some money to try and ensure that the mental well-being of their family members is intact. So we just want to understand what is being given to them as far as help is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there colleagues any further takers before we take it back to leadership? No? Thank you. Over to you, Minister. Thank you.
I've got one question, Premier. The link for the time. Definitely, the way it happened in this tavern cannot be linked with other killings that are taking place in other ship-ins that could be in Orlando, in Soweto, or Sweetwaters in Maritzburg. Simply different is that you can't send doctors there because people are short to send police to be investigated. But to expand even on that one, there's absolutely no evidence that those killings of taverns are linked. While we haven't arrested anybody in Soweto, though people properly identified and are chased according to the provincial commissioner there, we have arrested people in Maritzburg, where 5 people have been arrested, including the finding of the murder weapon there. And the issue is clearly not even the target. The person that was shot there, they were fighting on other things, like they were fighting on drugs. Some people that died extra there were people that died because we were at the wrong place at the wrong time doing the shipping when this guy was hunted. There's another one that happened in Mamelodi. Those people that was killed by the person that had a financial grudge rather than any kind of organized shipping or tavern attack. As we have said, we absolutely don't have the evidence at the present moment. People that were killed in the Alex were shot randomly, and was nothing else but the robbery in Alex. Fortunately, we saw people appeared in court yesterday in Alex, and we have found about 5 firearms now, and 39 cellular phones were found there. So some of them have been positively identified by the people that were robbed from them. So different reasons. Definitely, there is no coordination that has been witnessed and no evidence that has been collected to say the shooting in the places of drinking, those places where people they go to relax, are organized. So, if they are organized, then there would be from gangsterism and other things. Terrorism is far away from it. If you talk about terrorism, talk about a very high level of organization, funded, and reasons, and people would have come out to claim and all that. So it's criminality that has increased, and we look at it as such, and we're working it as such. The investigation, Premier, I will leave it to the police. What else are they investigating? And the Deputy National Commissioner is here, Umamu Msigiti, to answer on that one. Thanks.
Well, because I will give you Umamu Msigiti up until it gets to Dr. Matiwane, who must be a sweeper on this matter. Briefly, from where I'm seated, Ray, Dr. Matiwane can also talk to that, the issues of test process, and, at least you can predict, and from a project point of view, see how things are going in turnaround time. What I know is that there is a backlog nationally. There are such many issues that need the laboratory attention. That's why soon, probably by end of this year or early next year, we will be opening up with Minister a laboratory here in Nelson Mandela to complement this traffic that is up into Cape Town on the laboratory that deals with such kind of cases. So there's work that is being done to alleviate that. Under normal situation, probably Dr. Matiwane can say what you would have, but this is a sensitive issue that you needed to navigate it through carefully, because all cases are sensitive. All people are looking for the results of their cases, whether it's gender-based violence or rapes and other things that are really taking place out there. So also JJ, the methanol susceptibility, I think he can also speak to it, Dr. Matiwane, but what we all know is that it is part of the alcohol family, and it can be fatal. It can be fatal. We all know that. But how the accessibility of it and ngokuna ndicinga ngomdidiyelo uCharles Class mhlawumbe bengayicacisa better etywaleni abingena njani judges, you see. But I think Dr. Matiwane, from a scientific point of view, you will be able to speak to it. But it's something that can be found in us, but it depends on the metabolism process and how it then gets excreted or taken out of our bodies. But it's going to speak to that. On the issue here, I think Minister has helped us on that. Allegations and all that leveled against, etc. Whether they're investigating that, they will deal with that. Because now Liquor Board has opened a case on the fact that young people who are underaged were found to be in a liquor licensed liquor outlet. And surely the law says you don't sell liquor to the underage. That's what Liquor Board is looking at. It was they are the custodian of that particular law. It's ongoing psychosocial support to the families, and today, even if it might have been subsiding, but I've realized today that more effort is needed. I think we need to increase the tempo, keep the momentum of being closer to the families. And it's painful when a parent says, this was the only child I had, and there's no hope that I can find another child in my age. It's so deep, so painful. So it tells you those scars will need some time, as I've indicated earlier, that it's going to be time that will help the families of the deceased healing. But government is there with all the support, pre-funeral, post-funeral, we continue interacting. We've already seen now where to go, where to support, because people are not the same. So definitely, we're still going to be packaging more that pinpointed support and targets into certain families to make sure that those families are able to acclimatize and are able to accept what they cannot change. So it's going to go like that. Now, General Musigiti.
Thank you very much, Premier. Yes, Lundo Kulu. The case of contravention of Liquor Act was opened by the Liquor Board. When the call was made, when the noise was heard, all responsible assembled at the crime scene, and the responsible department and organization had to take their part, and the case was therefore open because they were part and parcel of those who visited the crime scene. Of course, we're working with Liquor Board from time to time because we have got the duty as the police to ensure the compliance thereof. The other matter that the police is investigating is on the issue of the death of the 21 individuals. There is an inquest docket that is under investigation. Dr. Matiwane did give a preliminary report on that. There is a collaboration between both the Police Forensic Science Laboratory as well as the Department of Health and Pathology Unit that is doing the investigation to determine the cause of death. That will then make its way into the docket that will go to court. That is the inquest docket that will then be presented to court, where the arguments will be heard and the conclusive report will therefore be provided when that is done. So there is an investigation that the police is doing in as far as the death of the 21 young people is concerned, and that is on the inquest docket. Thank you. It goes like that.
Thanks a lot again. My name is Lita Matiwane. I'm the Deputy Director General for Clinical Services in the province. Okay. The outstanding processes that are still outstanding, yes, we are looking for other activities that might come through. For example, formic acid, which is a byproduct methanol and may actually tell us more about the concentrations and the levels that actually are found and whether there is toxicity. So there are other activities. Like I said, there's also the gastric and bowel issues that have been taken. That will also tell us what was in the contents of what they've been drinking and so forth. So there are other activities and other toxicological processes that are going on in the lab in Cape Town. Now, we take the samples and send them through to the lab in Cape Town, which does the toxicology. And like the Premier is saying, I mean, they are doing overall toxicologies for the country. So I at this point in time, we're dependent on them in terms of them giving us the timelines and so forth. And we wait for the results as they come through. So I can't give now and say this is the end point of when the results are going to come through. And then how does the methanol then get into the body? Really, the first and obvious way is if you ingest it, so you take it in. That is one way of getting it. But it does become also a byproduct of some other chemicals. So we can't say now whether they've ingested or it is a byproduct of a chemical that they've taken. So we are waiting for those results. Hence we're saying, let us wait for that, let us hear, and let us hear also what concentrations they are, because that could also give us a direction to say if it was at these levels, it most probably was ingested, or if it was at these levels, it most probably went in through this format, and so forth. Okay, thanks.
My perspective.
Okay.
Sorry, for voice there is over tetanus pause. Yeah, just in terms of you didn't answer the question of, where do we find this methanol and how is it then dispersed? Just to try and understand that sense. We're trying to make sense of it. You are the expert, but we just want to perhaps get more sense around this methanol and the levels in which it would be vital in that regard.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Pulu. I'll take the last round, colleagues. Daimani, I see you, Kara. Standiwe, John, you want to come back? You still have another one in addition to...
Yes, but later on, then it's fine.
Later on, it's another matter. Okay, thank you so much. Johnny, yours?
Okay.
And then we'll take it back to you.
I think mine is addressing the police this time. Are there any chance that the deceased learners are closely related, meaning they could have had a gathering somewhere, or could it be all the results of what happened in the tavern? No. Okay. The point I'm trying to make is if these learners probably are closely related, we know that from our investigations is that there were groups from various areas entertaining themselves, but Enyobeni became the central point because those were there, because the kids are in contact, kept telling them, come this side, it's free in for all here. So I'm trying to understand or gauge if the deceased learners could probably be in one of the groupings, perhaps they had their own grouping elsewhere, or could it have been that they met the substance at the tavern?
Okay. No, thank you so much, Stanley. We'll take it.
But I think part of what I was going to ask to Dr. Matiwa has been covered by Dr. But I wanted to ask Dr. Do you have an indication of maybe when likely did they consume this? Was it 6 hours before or an hour before? I just wanted to have any indication of when likely did they consume the methanol or yes.
Okay. Thank you, Kara. Then
from Burger and Meta Tinkonia. I understand methanol do come in small measurements in alcohol. Did you perhaps test the level of alcohol at the tavern? Was it taken for this? And do you currently suspect that someone might have, put something into it, or where does it come from? At the moment, what is your suspicion?
Thank you. Mali?
It's Mali Mohammed from News 24. The Provincial Department of Health initially announced that it treated 16 patients from that tavern tragedy for tight chests, vomiting, headaches, and backaches. Now, I want to understand, did you take samples from these patients, and was methanol detected from their bodies? Anyone, what is this methanol? If you can explain for normal people.
Thank you so much, Mali. I'll give it over to you,
Yeah. No, thanks. Methanol is an alcohol, but it's not the base alcohol for drinking. The base alcohol for drinking is ethanol. Okay, so methanol is actually it's a toxic type of alcohol to the body. But you see, the challenge is that here we can't speculate and say it came from this, it probably is from that, or what. That's why I'm saying you can ingest it, or it can be part of the byproducts of some of compounds that you drink. So I don't want us to start to say, no, this methanol could have come from here and come from here, because it's going to starting to interfere with the investigation itself. So I really plead that we don't go into that detail. I'm sure.
That's why I'm looking.
Yes. yes. So I think that was the main question.
I think there was a question. No question for you. Just push it.
The issue of whether the children were coming from somewhere to the place where they have gathered. No, we are investigating. Sorry. We are investigating what transpired at the place where the children were found.
Yeah. Briefers like that, very concise, brief to the point. The point, what you were trying to ask JJ, it's what we all know. There's something funny in our community and our society, where young people, when they are done with exams, they come together for whatever. I just forget the name. Washing the pen or pens down. I've never experienced.
Not the pens down, pens.
So that on its own, I'm aware, I've been told it is more common. It's happening here in PCM. The sports areas where they are easily found, these young people. Down the circle there somewhere, or I don't want to mention people's areas, but somewhere there where young people normally come together. It's a very funny thing. At some point, we will celebrate even before results are out. So I think it's something that is becoming so common in our communities, and I think that's why we are calling for everyone. Sicela bonke abantu basebenze nathi kulento, abantwana, abazali, urhulumente, because ke amapolisa akazupolisa abantu abonwabileyo. But into embi kukuba kulonwabo lwabantu kube kwiziphumo ezibi. Ingxaki ke ngoku ikhona. Xa abantu bezonwabele beudibana phaya ingase abantu babe responsible ngokonwaba kwabo, so that wonke umuntu akhulele uxanduva. Njengoba besesishilo ekuqaleni into okokuba esizokuchazela nje abazali namhlanje ngendima ehanjiweyo ukuzothi ga ngoku kulo mcimbi wokukhangela unobangela nokuphanda isizekabani sala ntlekele yenzeke phaya eScenery Park. Iinkcukacha sizivile uzothi ga ngoku ezibonakalisayo into yokokuba ngenene nangenyaniso kukhona okungaqhelekanga kumagazi abantwana. Your carbon monoxide, your methanol, notywala, kodwa kutywala ngiqinisekile buqhelekile ke kubantu abaninzi abaqhelo akunjalo le nto. So kodwa ke phantsi kwale meko sikuyo siphanda kwanto kwenzela uba siqinisekise into yokokuba xa sele sisithi dakanca eyona report egqibeleleyo singafuniseli. Kananjalo asifuni ukubamba intlwa ngentloko isavela. Sibethelela loo nto siphila kwisociety enzima eneenkolo neenkolelo ngeenkolelo, ii-superstition. Xa sisenza le process sizama ukwakha ilizwe nokunormalize i-society, because uba singayishiya le nto isizathu esibangela uba emngcwabeni kubekho i-item ye-cause of death yinto abantu bayakrokrelana. Sinee-problems apha zezenzekayo ngenxa yezimeko, uleqwa enye ifemeli, ileqwa yenye ifemeli, uba ubhubhile ubani yilaa femeli, umama omdala othilethile nango ebulawa phaa ngoba usolwa ngento ezithile. Asifuni loo nto. Yinto funeka kukho impendulo ezicacileyo kule meko enjengaleyo khona ukuze kungabikho abantu abakhangela impendulo kwezinye iindawo. Impendulo zifunyanwe ngokwale nkqubo siyilandelayo yesayensi. Sibethelela loo nto ke ezaa families nazo sifuna zamkele. Bafunani batyholatyholana, umntu atyhola ummelwane, atyhola ubanibani, athini ngomntwana wakhe. Abantu bayazi uba nantsi into eyenzekayo kubantwana babo ihamba ngolu hlobo. Sitshilo ke ngoku into okokuba usukela namhlanje ubheka phambili yawube igqibekile ncakasana yonke le report kwezi ndawo zimbalwa zisashiyekileyo. Sizawuyela ii-families ke ngoku singena umnyango nomnyangwana khona ukuze umzali nomzali akwazi ufumana ingxelo yomntana wakhe ephaya. Singamane sibazisa ngolu hlobo, kodwa kuba besisenza le feedback okokuqala sibone kufanelekile. So ubheka phambili kuba unxibelelwano lethu nabo aluphelanga. I-Department yakwa-Social Development ine-plan eyenzileyo ecacileyo yonontlalontle family nefamily ukwenzela uba imeko ngokwahlukana kwee-families ilandelwe ngokwezidingo zefamily njalo njalo. So loo nkqubo ke iyalandelwa ngaphandle kwamathandabuzo, and siyakholelwa ke into yokokuba noko iya kusinceda kakhulu ukubheka phambili. So bendisithi nje mandigxininisise kwezo ndawo zithile bezingacaciswa. Andimvanga kodwa ke uDr Matiwane ethetha ngezi zigulane ziyi-16 ngaphandle uba ndikubhutile Dr Matiwane uba zikhona ezi zigulane besike sazitrita ziyi-16. Ingaba kuzo sulenzela uphando ilishwa i-postmortem yenziwa kumntu ongekhona. So wawungasifumaniseka abantu kule postmortem ukhangela elinye icala. So yonke le investigation siyenza kuba i-postmortem ayisinikanga le nto besiyifuna. So iba ibisinikile ngezingekho kule ndawo. Uyayiqonda mosipa ezilalini ndinedotyiwe kunjalo Tyhopho. Kubekho isithethi sokugula sibekwe phasi icacise yonke laa nto. Siyithethe ngokungathi besingugqirha sona kuqala. Siqale mhla waqala ukhohlela umntu sihambe naye njalo njalo. So ibalulekile ke loo ngcaciso leyo kwenzela into yokokuba silungise iingqondo zabantu, silungise ukuhlala kungabikho imeko yokutyholatyholana kwabantu. Dr Matiwane ndiyazi uba le meko yezigulane eziyi-16 kodwa andiyiqondi into yoba ibizawuthi ihambe le ndlela ihanjiweyo kuba bekunyangwa le nto ivelayo. Njenge-methanol le xa ithe yakhawulezelwa yanyangwa iyakwazi unqandeka kuba inezixhobo kuthethwa ngazo zifumanekayo nasetywaleni. So xa ithe yafunyanwa ngexesha nawe xa utye ipozi ugalwa ngobisi zikhala kunjani?
Enjalo Dr Mabuyane.
So ugalwa ngobisi. So yonke ke loo meko yimeko yokuba siphila ngamacebo ngolo hlobo. So ndizawunika ke ngoku uminister ashwangathele siyivale le meko sidibene ngayo. Ulinde ukuhlamba eRhawutini lide lidlulihlelana.
Uyishwangathele. Just some members of the families, they did give us some leeway to say everybody knows there's a pressure and all, but they know that scientific issues, they take some time. So maybe meeting the family and families, it does help. They did not worry much about time frames. Indeed, everybody wants us to move fast, but they say don't compromise the investigation so that when the conclusion comes, it should be the real one. So that working together has been raised there. We'll try from those that are doing technocrats science investigations to do fast, but as they reach the conclusion, it should be the real one. That's what the families themselves are saying to us. Diamond, it's not a crime that kids come together. You can't investigate that they've come together. But nonetheless, there was a flyer. That initially was inviting kids to come in the afternoon and all that kind of thing. That was sent to me. Unfortunately, it ringed the word Guzofiwa. I'm sure most of you you saw that one when they were invited and all that. And there's no crime in coming together and all that, so we can't be investigating that. We're investigating what happened in making our kids to die after they've come together. And indeed, it's fine for kids to come together. We'll be very worried, Premier, when kids don't come together to enjoy and socially know one another and all that, but they still have to be protected. It's not the last time we come back here. We'll still meet the families. Premier explained that it might be necessary to go and visit each and every family. But communities here were promised, and we are going to come back and try to find the way what to do so that we never come back here for the same encounter for what has happened. Painful, terrible, so it should be stopped and stopped here. So that's what we are trying to do. Thanks, Premier.
This is Philippines. Cameras I know we are done.
All right, thank you so much for this for coming through. We'll talk some
Thanks very much for joining us here on Point, the second hour. We welcome our S3 viewers, of course. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Nompumelelo Siziba. Let's take a look at the headlines very quickly. Has travelled to KwaZulu-Natal to identify the bodies of her loved ones.